Today I'm going to talk about building permits and the building approval process. People think that once you get land and that's it, you can build something, but you can't. You can't build something unless you've got a permit. Otherwise they'll come and they'll tear it down. It's a criminal offence to build something if you haven't got a permit or if you haven't got the permissions or whatever it is. And if you want to get a general idea of what's a building permit, I'm going to go through 3 countries, Tanzania, UK and USA. So you'll notice the difference and the bureaucracy of each one. This is going to be quite an original one because I can compare the process getting something built in a developing country compared to a more developed country. The procedures and how bureaucratic it is in some countries and some countries it's not, and all the paperwork and stuff that goes through. You might be surprised, so stick around, you might find out it's completely different and it might be easier, it might be more difficult. So I'm going to go through each one, starting with Tanzania. So for Tanzania you need 3 things. You need the architectural plans and structural plans. These are general arrangement architectural plans. So that means a site plan with the dimensions from the boundary, how big it is. Also any other plans, general arrangement plans, elevations, which is the side view of the building, how it looks like. Also sections through the building, so you can see how high the building is. So basically what the building looks like, really. And they're not that detailed either, so not really much dimensions on it, maybe the overall size, things like that. So it's not that detailed really. But the structural plans you have to submit, they're pretty detailed, which is a bit crazy because you might not have designed them properly, but they're already doing reinforcement details. You have to submit reinforcement details drawings. So the structural engineer drawings are quite detailed compared to the architectural drawings, which is kind of weird really, because you've only just done a basic concept design, but they're already doing engineer detailed drawings, foundations. So I find it's quite difficult that I've just done a basic concept, I haven't really done much detail yet, but already the engineer has to do all these engineer details, reinforcement details, how big the slab's going to be and everything. So if I'm likely going to change the design a little bit as I do more detail, so it becomes a pain. So you need architectural drawings, structural drawings, and environmental impact assessment of the site, how it's going to affect the site, the sustainability features, I think water and things like that. You get an environmental consultant to do that for you. I think it's a report or something. So you got to submit that to the local government as well. And the third thing you have to submit is the proof ownership of land, so the title deeds. They're the 3 things you have to submit to the local government, whatever relevant department it is, and then you get your building permit if that's granted, and then you can build. That's it. So it's just one package you submit, and then you get a building permit, and then you're off. My experience is the architectural design develops a bit more. So architects, they do construction drawings as well, detailed construction drawings. So that would come afterwards, but most people don't bother doing that, so they just build from the basic plans, so that's how it works. So it's quite quick here. So now on to the UK, you'll notice the difference now. UK, there's 2 submissions really. Tanzania, there was only 1. With UK, there's planning permission, and then there's also building regs approval, which is kind of your permit. So the first one is planning permission. Planning permissions, you need just architectural drawings really, of general arrangement drawings, the same as what I said with the Tanzania submission. So it's general arrangement plans, elevations, sections, the site plan. Basically what the building looks like. So for planning permission you submit, goes to the local government, and the planning department checks it, whether it's the right height, it's in the right zone, and if they want something ugly in that area or not, they won't let you, give you permission. And I don't think any structural drawings are submitted. It's just approval of what the building's going to look like. You also have to submit an accessibility statement, which proves that it's accessible for disabled people and things like that. And I think another environmental assessment as well, similar to Tanzania. So they're the 3 things. It's called planning permission, that. So when you got that, I think you can build with that, actually start building them. But there's a second approval you must get called building regs approval, which gets you building permit. So that it's real detailed construction drawings, architectural drawings. So this is checking whether everything's to code, building regulations, which is these. This is several building regs. There's a few of them here. This is fire regs, housing and commercial. So this is for safety. So like stair heights, stair widths, ramps, railings, things like that. They'll check it. There's loads of things. There's like structure, fire, there's like ventilation, there's a bit of sustainability in there. This is a real detailed package of architectural drawings, really detailed construction drawings. They check that it proves it passes all those regulations. If the building regs is basically for safety, it's building codes. So they're checking that quite thoroughly. In Tanzania, they don't really, architecturally, they don't check the building codes very much, I don't think. I think they're more or less check the kind of engineering part, safety really, whether a building stands up and everything. They're not so much concerned about the other stuff really. So that's why Tanzania, you submit the structural drawings quite early and that's it. So UK was the planning application, then the building regs approval. When you got the building regs approval, that's classed as your building permit. And if you build anything that's not been approved on the building regs approval, then they have permission to come and just tell you to knock it down, and they might force you to take it down if you build something that's not correctly, what's not approved, or something different to what's approved. The government have got a right to tell you to stop or take it down and change it, which can cause a lot of money. So they're the two main things you need for building permit in the UK, permission to build. Now on to USA. Now there's three, I'm less experienced in this, but what I've been reading, there's like 3 stages, at least 3 stages. So Tanzania, you just submit 1 package. UK, you submit 2 packages. And then USA, looks like 3 packages for building approval permit, whatever you want to call it. There's pre-application, then there's planning approval, then there's building permit application, and then I think there's another one, permit assurance. But before the planning application, there's a pre-application that they check the zones and stuff. They're checking if you're allowed to build that type of building, which is quite good. So it saves you a lot of time if you can't build something. Once you got that approved, it looks like then you apply for planning application, planning approval, similar to UK, what the building looks like, plan sections, elevation, site plan. And then when you got that approved, you apply for building permit, which is the same really as the UK, similar, apart from they don't have a pre-application in the UK. Maybe they do. If you want to do a pre-application, you just go and meet them and ask them if it's okay to build like that type of building in that zone or something. It's just the same as UK, the building regs approval, so checking the construction codes, building codes, those kind of things. Safety, it's all about safety, that in and around buildings. And then the structural engineer would submit all that stuff as well, so they'll check the reinforcement inside the concrete, whether it's stable, and the calculations and all that stuff. So yeah, it's really detailed package, like I said before. So then after that, looks like there's permit assurance. So it looks like here they're saying electrical, plumbing, so it looks like other permits for electrical and plumbing and stuff. So yeah, there's a 4th one as well, but there is usually sometimes all these approvals, there's usually other approvals you need like as well. Like for instance, if you got an old building on site, you might need a permit to refurbish it. I might not allow to be demolish it if it's like heritage building or something like that, or demolition, you'll need a permit to do demolition probably, or you might explosives or something on site, or excavation, you might need a permit for that. I think the project at the moment we're working on, you need a permit for excavation, the basement. Yeah, so they're the 3 ones. It's quite interesting. You see, get more complicated as, I don't know, more Western the country is. So yeah, that's the reason why it's easier to build in places like Tanzania than it is in UK. There have been a lot of complaints, especially just after the pandemic, that too bureaucratic, too much paperwork, taking too long to get to build something, permission to build something. So I remember there were a change in that. So the reason why they do that is to just make sure the quality of the buildings is good, and they check everything really. It takes longer, but usually the quality is better because of all that. in the long run. That's probably why you get so many crappy buildings in Tanzania. It's just one application and that's it, really. They check it, but it's not. They don't check it in detail, really. I don't think. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this talk on building permits, and I hope you learned something about that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.